2, 3, and we are live. Finally.
What's up?
It always takes a minute. It always takes a few minutes to just get everything set up. But yeah, man, how are you?
I'm great.
How you been?
How about you?
How long has it been since we first interacted? I was trying to think about that. I think it's been a few months.
Was it like around February or sooner than that? Maybe. No. I think it was like February when spring was coming around the corner.
Was it right?
Yeah, because it was around. Yeah, it was definitely around springtime, emerging at least.
It's been a minute.
Yeah,
it's
has been a while. Yeah,
and a lot has happened since then. I think I talked to you about the whole podcast thing, like briefly, right? During that day, we were talking about just the whole marketing endeavors and just like working together and possibly about like marketing. And then I told you about the podcast. And now we're here. Like we're finally making one happen after a few minutes of troubles here and there. But yeah, so just like I told you before, it's a very improvised setup. Again, it's something still relatively new. So it's something that I'm not a professional by any means at this. I don't really know what the fuck I'm doing. Like I'll tell every guest this because it also helps to like I guess calm the guests down. I'm not saying that you're like super anxious right now, but everybody tends to like come on and thinking that this is gonna be like crazy, questionnaire or pop quiz about whatever. But it's really just like us figuring it out together as we go and fucking up here and there. And the irony of that is that the episode that I shouted out on my stories earlier today with Manuela was the first episode that hit triple digits on YouTube, views-wise. And the irony is that after our episode, she told me that she wanted me to edit out certain parts because she thought that she sounded kind of stupid. Oh, no. And then I told her, I was like, look, I promise you, you're good. You're all right. It's all in your head. It's all psychological. It's all you trying to, I guess, be the best you can, and then you keep, bringing yourself down or whatever. But the irony of that is that it came out to be one of the most viewed episodes. So, yeah, so that's a whole. So yeah, man. So, what have you been up to since then? What's going on in your life?
Since then, I actually graduated from my undergrad.
I saw that. Yeah.
So I got my bachelor's in finance and IT. Certificate in entrepreneurship. Doesn't really mean much because maybe we'll get into it later, but
but it's still something.
So
for sure
that happened. Graduation came about. Continued with my my small business, which is again a media agency, marketing consultancy, stuff like that. And now I'm currently in the process of trying to push my personal brand more so than the media agency and try to get into the fitness world and realm because that it's something I'm extremely passionate about.
Which I could tell, by the way.
Yeah, and I just think, and I just, I can't see myself continuing on with like, yes, do I love business? Absolutely. But if I'm also not kind of curating it towards my passion, I think there's going to be a lot of conflict later on in life. So I'd much rather get started now when I'm at a young age and high risk is, the way to go. So,
and it's always best to pursue passion over profit, right? Because the first leads to the second always.
Yeah.
And then just seeking. So what made you get into like starting a media company? Like what led you down that path?
So I think the whole idea behind the media company, one, of course, like I was very inspired by Gary Vaynerchuk, obviously, he's a big guy in the entrepreneurship world and business world. But not necessarily just because he was doing it, but rather than the thought process behind it. It's like you're learning this necessary tactic of life, which is marketing, right? How do you get stuff? You market stuff. You market yourself every day. You market your brand. You market the things that you do at your job, 100%. All that stuff, and that's what's going to bring sales. So at a young age, too, I would flip soccer cleats. I'd get them for one price, mark them up for another price, and that's how I made a living when I was like 13 to 15. Like that's how I made money. And from there, it was just like the whole marketing thing kind of clicked. I enjoyed it, and I felt like it was a necessity in life in general and business. So I was like, why not start a company like that? I don't have a personal brand to be selling stuff, so then I'll sell my services to other people. And then from there, that took off. And now I'm trying to focus on a personal brand and actually sell my own things and stuff like that. So.
And what do you intend on selling? Like, is it like fitness programs and stuff? Like
for the time being, it would be fitness programs.
Got it. Oh, that's dope. I mean, Gary Vee is always a recurring personality when you talk about business or in any room where anybody's talking about business or marketing. I told you this once too. You'd be surprised by the amount of media companies that you contact and you sit down with and you'll ask them, like, do you know who Gary Vee is? Mm-hmm. And they have no idea who he is. Yeah. And that to me is like a huge red flag. Because it's like, how are you navigating this space not knowing or not acknowledging the presence of one of the biggest sharks?
Exactly, when you're competitors and you're not even aware of it, you know.
Makes no sense to me. Yeah, and then right there and then I'm like, okay, like yeah, like we'll talk later, but never talk, you know. Yeah. And then when we spoke, like that was one of the first things. I'm like, are you familiar with Gary Vee? And right away we just connected on that. It's just like, oh, it's fine, it's cool. And then but yeah, man, but he's out there. Like I was listening to a podcast of his, I think it was yesterday or earlier today, I forget, but he was talking about how he's certain that he's the person who puts out the most amount of content. Like nobody competes with him in terms of like raw amount of content per day or per however he measures it per hour.
I would absolutely agree.
And I agree 100% because he has like a 20-man crew, right?
Yeah,
like
I think the light's on him 24/7. It started off with D-Rock and now it's just, I think he has like a person he can cycle through every day if he'd like to.
And that's crazy. And the whole story behind D-Rock was that he kept emailing him, right? Like emailing him.
Yeah. And
then offering like free services or something like that. And then eventually it clicked.
And it finally got into it. And then now it's just every day. And supposedly, I think they even like D-Rock's now sourcing people out, like too. Like D-Rock's getting a little side gig off of it or something like that.
Like becoming an entrepreneur himself. Right? Yeah. And what do you think about that? About the idea? Again, like this will tie into the macro picture of social media in general. But what's your opinion on having someone like follow you all the time with a camera? Like, what do you think are the repercussions of that, like mentally, psychologically? I don't know. Like, do you think that that's healthy? Do you think that that's, what do you think about it?
So, yeah, like I have like a weird stance or kind of a stance that's in between. I'm one of those people who, I love technology. I love social media. I do love what's happening in the world today. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it. Yeah. But what I do think is people really, really need to understand who they are and what are their faults and what are their downfalls and stuff like that, and just be honest with themselves. Because I think the people that aren't honest with themselves or don't really know who they are or can't admit to their downfalls, like I have a couple things that I know I'm not great at, but like I'll admit, like, hey, I suck at that.
Self-awareness.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And if that's not in place, then I think social media and that kind of documenting could actually eat you alive. Yeah. Because you're kind of playing
you're always putting up a facade every single time. Yeah, every time the camera's on, you have to. And I kind of felt that, but not in a sense where, because I went through like a brief phase. I think it was 8 weeks or maybe 4 weeks, 8 episodes that I did with JT. I don't know if you know JT. But we basically did that Gary Vee, D-Rock relationship type of thing. Okay. And I did that for a while, but to me at least, it was just too intrusive. It was just too like all the time. I felt like I had to put on a performance. So maybe I wasn't accustomed to it. Maybe I wasn't used to it. Maybe it takes time to get to the level of naturality that Gary portrays.
Absolutely, yeah.
But, you know, like I would just be like walking and then I would be like thinking to myself, I should say something dope right now. I should say something motivational, inspirational, or something along those lines. But that isn't something that I would do naturally as a person. Yeah. So to me, it was
kind of, I mean, I could see that because like I'm the same way. Like, I'm trying to do this whole vlog thing. And I think that because of like, I just want to be kind of like a fitness guy on YouTube and stuff like that and live that dream kind of stuff. But I just want to give value. And a lot of it has to do in front of being in the camera because I'm not a good writer as is. So a blog won't work. So a vlog is kind of the better option or leeway for me. But I just get really awkward in front of a camera.
Which is natural.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So I think when it comes to that, it's like that is totally like, yeah, it's natural. And you kind of know yourself though, because you don't, you didn't enjoy it as much.
And then I just stopped it. I was like, I'm sorry, but I can't continue this right now.
No, exactly.
It just doesn't make sense. And also, there's something about being like, to me, because I'm the type of person where I like to go all in on something, right? Like intensely, like all in. Like I can't allocate and distribute like 20% for this, 40% for that. It's if I want to solve that Rubik's Cube, I don't care if you're here. You no longer exist. None of this exists to me. Like I'll just sit here and until I solve the Rubik's Cube, I won't sleep, I won't eat, I won't drink water, I won't do anything. Like that's all I see and that's all I care about. Yeah. And so to me, doing that whole vlogging thing, it was so weird because you have to, again, you have to put on a performance. Mm-hmm. You have to be aware that people are watching you. You have to think about all that stuff. And you have to, just like juggle things.
Of course.
And it takes away from your creative drive, I feel like.
I could totally understand. Because I'm actually exactly the same. If you describe my life, it's all or nothing. Whether it be work-wise or even like vacation, like my mom and parents hate when I say I'm going to be off, I'm going to be off. I switch it off.
No phone calls.
That's it. Nothing. Don't bother me.
You're dead.
Yeah, exactly. So I get that. It definitely is. And it definitely, like in front of the camera, I can see myself kind of just like, oh, I had a whole list of things I wanted to talk about. I just completely forgot.
And I truly believe that amount of passion or focus is a precursor to anything, like to any substantial growth. Mm-hmm. So for example, that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to have you on this podcast, is because like you clearly present that outlier mentality, if that makes any sense. Because like not many people our age, especially our age, have that level of commitment and level of self-awareness and just focus. Like fuck everything else. If I say I'm gonna do something, I'll do it, and period. Like I don't care if it's, my girlfriend, if it's my friends or whatever, like I'll stop going out, I'll stop being social and just go full, just full blown, dude. But so what's your favorite thing about, how do I say this? What's your favorite thing about, I guess, the whole entrepreneurial aspect of things? Like, is it like what attracts you to it? Is it the freedom? Is it the...
So yeah, I think freedom right there and then. Freedom is a big thing. Freedom to do what you love, one. Two, so it's actually funny now that I'm thinking about it. Today I went to Barnes & Noble's and I picked up one book. It was How to Get Your Shit Together. I
think I've heard about that.
Yeah, so I just, like, the last couple of weeks been going through a couple of things, graduation, everything just took a toll on me. Everything's catching up. But then as I'm walking by the business section, this one book popped out, The Originals. I know it's...
The Originals by Adam something?
I believe so. Yeah. It's like there's like a ring. Yeah, there you go.
Hold on. Let me just screen record this. Hold on. Options. Yo, I'm blind as a bat. So hold on, guys. Okay, record. Yes. All right. So we weren't recording the screen. Now we're. I think it's Adam Grant. Watch The Originals.
I have a feeling it is as well. Now that you say it.
Is it? Yeah, Adam Grant. There we go.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. So that book was on the shelf, and I don't know, I just got kind of intrigued, and just as you just said before, like the outliers, this says how nonconformists move the world and all that. So I only got a handful of pages in, but within the first couple of minutes, like it mentions... something about like people who are like, there are going to be people who are born stars and this and that. Then throughout life, there's going to be other people who look at things differently. And then I think it mentioned something about deja vu is seeing something new, but you remember seeing it in the past kind of thing. Meanwhile, I think if you flip the two words, like vu deja is actually a word. And it means seeing something you've already seen.
But seeing it differently.
So I think entrepreneurship, and I love, and I've been so attracted to it, is for that very reason. I feel growing up and even in my last 4 years of college, like it actually showed more and more and more that I wasn't necessarily the same. Like, obviously, like I'm an average guy. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm spectacular, this and that, but very quiet, I'm very just insightful in watching and seeing how things pan out. But I was just very different than the rest of the group. I was like, in some ways, I went to Seton Hall University, and there's a program called Leadership Program, and they've actually been the top program in the nation for business leadership in the last 4 years, and all this stuff. But out of that group, I felt like, and it was like we have like peer reviews every year, and it would just be like I would get a 1 for like attendance. Meanwhile, I was there just so I wouldn't speak. Stuff like that, and then when the comments came about, it was just like, oh, he's very quiet, but he's like brilliant, or he's very quiet, but he's very insightful. This and that. So it was just like I did have a different perspective on things a lot of times, and the leader of the program, he would just be like, you see things differently. But he said that to everybody, and that's the one thing that I would forever carry in my heart is you're not wrong. You see things differently. Yeah. And I think that's the part of entrepreneurship I love, because you're not wrong for going the separate way, the other way. Yeah. You see it differently.
And the idea of like right and wrong, good or bad, like that dichotomy and that division and like two things. Why? Like, why do we label things like that? And I'm convinced that it has to do with just like we as human beings, like we have a strong aversion towards anything that's new, anything that's different, anything that's strange. Yeah. So it goes back to that whole barbarians at the gate type thing. So it's like we have our village, our family, our tribe, and then if anybody strange comes knocking at the gate, we automatically view them as a threat, as an enemy. And that, I guess that ability to see things differently, and not only see things differently, but not be fearful towards it. Yeah. Like not fear change or not fear, I don't know, man. Like I resonate heavily with the whole thing about being, quiet and just insightful, because I'm the type of person where I do not like to court attention towards myself. Yeah. I do not like that.
I agree.
I do not like walking into a room, because I know people and I have friends who are extremely smart, extremely, ambitious, and they're also on the entrepreneurial path. They're like the life of everything. Like they'll walk into a room and they'll be the center of attention, and that's good for them. Like they thrive off of it. But for me, it's like I prefer to move in the shadows. Like just like just don't mind me. I'll just sit in the back. But I observe, and I'm able to, like, again, see things differently. And just like you said before, it's not being egotistic to say that you are at a different level than other people. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people think, well, because I kind of felt this in college, where like the reason why I dropped out of college was that one day I just looked around and I saw all these kids uninterested, all these kids like sleeping, all of these kids like on their phones, and nobody was really engaged in the class at all. And the teacher was regurgitating information from his textbook, like literally reading out loud. And that was the pivotal point to me. It was like I just came to the realization. I was like, yo, this isn't for me. Like, I'm in the wrong place. Like, there's no stimulation here. Like, there's no, like, why am I here? I'm not here for networking purposes. All these kids, like, they have nothing to offer. The professor has nothing to offer, or so I perceived. But, like, making that choice and making that self-awareness of, like, you're better than that room is not egotistic, in my opinion. No, yeah. It's just being self-aware.
Exactly. I mean, and that's how you level up in life. Like, 100%. Like how, if you stay in the same room, like, let's say if you're the smartest man in the room, is it worth, you know what I mean? Like, wrong room. No, yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're in the wrong room. Yeah. You want to be, lack of better terms, and the dumbest person in the room. Yeah. And surround yourself with better people to grow and to reach the next step and so on. But going back to what you're saying about college, like I 100% agree. I felt the same exact way. I was just there just to be there because my parents. Again, I majored in finance and IT. My career path of choice right now is marketing. Yeah. I just didn't feel college necessarily is up to date, and I don't think college education is. So it's, again, online, learning from that and this and that. But it's like, might as well save yourself that and just go full on with what you know will challenge you and push you, push you on.
And also, I do believe that life is like a book filled with chapters, right? So certain chapters are necessary. Like, I went through my college chapter, but my chapter maybe finished sooner than other people's chapters. I went through the 9 to 5 chapter for like 2 years, and mine finished, and now I'm on my own, another chapter. So a lot of people, though, they go through their whole existence, their whole book is just the same chapter repeated after and after, over and over. And that is the thing that freaks me the fuck out. Like I just get crazy anxiety just thinking about living a life where you're not fulfilled, like you're not engaged or passionate about it. And then again, you touched on passion. It's like pursuing fitness, if that's really your passion, if that's really what you feel in the depth of your soul, like that resonates with who you are and your character, like you have to pursue that. Like you owe it to yourself to pursue that.
Absolutely. And then at the end of the day, it's just like I know when it's time, to go up, and when I do pass, it's like that's gonna be my ultimate regret for not, for not going after my dream or my goal or something that I loved, and rather than just sitting at a job where somebody else is commanding me around all day. It's just like I'd rather not,
And speaking of passing away, did you hear about the recent asteroid that almost hit the Earth?
Oh, dude, I literally quote tweeted it today. I was like, nice. Jeez,
we
that
were
shows
this close to losing millions and millions of people, and nobody's talking about it.
I know. I was one of those government cover-ups.
Right? I was just like, how is this not all over the news? Like, dude, it passed closer than the moon is to us.
I was surprised that we didn't see anything.
Like flares or something, like fire or anything.
The moment I saw that, it gave me a kick in the ass. I'm like, all right, I gotta get going. I don't know when I'm gonna be off this earth, so
I got super anxious, man. I was like, fuck. Yeah. This close to fucking
like, can we hold that thought? I just want to leave a mark on this earth first, guys.
Before we go. Yeah. And it just goes to show that we have like no control, or
no, it's true.
Like we're so vulnerable, and we live our existence. That's another thing that I hold very truly and very strongly to myself. It's like I believe that everybody has this miscued perception of longevity. It's like if you ask anybody, where do you see yourself in 50 years? They'll respond like, I'll be retired, I'll be golfing, I'll be doing this. But dude, 50 years
you have no idea
ahead, like you don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow. You don't know if a car can fucking go off the tracks and just ram and just fall inside my basement right now, and we both die during this podcast. It's like next second, like right now, like right now. Like you don't know, like you can't.
That's absolutely true.
And I just live with that sense of urgency, like just like Gary Vee says, ultimate form of motivation is you are going to die, and that's fucking true. It's like every single day I'm like, am I satisfied with the footprint that I've left?
Exactly, yeah.
I'm still not satisfied, so I have to work towards that. I have to build up to that always.
No, of course. But obviously, it's like a dual-end sword. Like, if you go to bed every night asking, like, are you happy? Like, if you died tomorrow, you're going to be... And it's like, fuck, I can't go to bed now.
I got to get paranoid.
Yeah, exactly. But I think when people ask, like, somebody asked about how do you, stay motivated and stuff like that, I think at the end of the day, it's literally that. Right? I think one of the major ones, at least. Yeah. And then obviously there's other ones. But I think that idea behind your head is like, you're going to leave this earth and you're just going to be another, all right, cool.
That's 100% it, for me at least. Of course, like there's other factors, but legacy is a huge one for me. Like it's like the most valuable currency, in my opinion, is the impact that you have on others. It's like at your funeral, like what are they going to talk about? Are they going to talk about Austin's Bugatti, Austin's mansion on the hills and shit? Like, of course not. They're going to talk about who you were as a person.
Of course.
And even if they, and that's if they talk about you. That's if people attend your funeral. That's if you have a funeral. So it's like, it's all if. So a lot of people can counter that and say like, but that's very egotistic. It's like, like that's such an egotistic thing to say, of like, it's all about you, making it all about you. But it's, again, giving value to people, just like we touched on earlier. It's just going through and just giving as much value as possible.
Yeah, but the only reason why they would be talking about you is because you somehow, in some way, positively affected their life. It's definitely, I think too, like without a doubt, it's about that. But I think it all adds up. It's like I could talk to my best friend, and if I get a smile on his face, or if I influence him positively to figure out something or follow his passion and so on, then that's where it counts. And then it obviously will add on to the whole legacy thing. But it is those little
steps.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's all like adding incremental steps and then it just all adds up at the end, and then you're at the cash register, or at the cash register in heaven or hell, and then you get your receipt, and you're like, oh shit. Like, do you are you a religious person?
Yeah, so I have this.
Okay. I have this.
Well, no, I was brought up in a Catholic church.
Me too.
So my family, they're all about it. They give us you and your baby, and then they give like each step of your life. They actually there's like one of them broke off, but there's 3 that I have on normally.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
So you get the cross near your baby. We get I think a communion thing, piece of bread when we make our communion. And then my dad's side of the family and the dads have this thing where when you turn 18 or become a man, you'll get a fist, but it's some certain special type of fist kind of thing that I have here.
Yeah.
So throughout my whole life, the Catholic Church was a big thing in Christianity. But I won't lie, the last handful of years, I've actually been like really questioning it in terms of, I know there's a greater power. Yes, am I leaning towards Christianity? Absolutely. But the Catholicism and just seeing the come up and now that I can have my own perspective again and
opinion and stuff. Yeah.
It things definitely.
Yeah. And I asked that because watching, I don't know if you saw through the tweet, but when they showed the asteroid like almost hitting the Earth, like they showed a little diagram type shit. That, yeah. And that to me, it's like, I don't know, like I checked the comments of the video and a lot of people were saying like, see, like God would never let an asteroid hit us, or that's the hand of God playing its part, or and again, I'm not a religious person per se, but I'm also not a
atheist.
I don't neglect the possibility of there being something. I think there is something bigger, but I don't really have like a certain religion to like pin it down.
Yeah.
But essentially, like to me, like that's fair. It's always something to think about. It's like, what made that asteroid not hit us? Like, why did it not hit us? Like, was it
come tell me it's
coincidence?
Science
Was it science? Was it statistics? Or I don't know. Like some things you just can't explain.
No, exactly. And I think that's where religion plays a big part.
Yeah. And that's just, and it's in everything. It's faith. Like faith is like it's an essential tool to just, because imagine if religion never existed. I don't think we'd be here right now.
No, I totally agree.
Because you need something like a moral police, a bigger police to keep everybody together and keep everybody funcking properly. Otherwise, everybody would just be killing each other.
Exactly. It would be what's that movie? That like people just go around commit whatever crimes they want to commit.
Purge.
Purge every day.
Purge 24/7 until there's nobody left. Yeah, man. That's like I think about these things a lot, like more than I should. I'll just find myself like thinking about just like how weird it is that we're even here. Like to me, existence is such a fucking weird thing. Like I'll be driving down I-80 and just start looking around and seeing all these people, driving recklessly, all these people honking at each other. Some people are just jamming out in their cars and just listening to music. Some people are pissed off talking on the phone. And it's like this whole playground of just people.
Like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, like what is literally I'll be like, what is this? And then I'll just be driving, just like looking around. I'm like, dude, this is so much more, I don't know, complex than people realize.
Yeah, beyond our understanding. That happens to me the most, like at night. I go for a drive. Or even like on my way here, just I'm obsessed with sunsets. Like the sunsets lately, just it's been purple, orange, yellow, blue, all this stuff. And as I'm looking into it, I'm just like, we're literally just a floating ball in space that managed to pull that off. Like that kind of beauty. Like this is absurd. Like what?
We're talking monkeys on a huge rock, just floating in infinite space. Like, dude, that shit's like, oh my God. And then again, like that ties into the motivational factor. It's like, for example, I've been trying to condition myself and teach myself to like, and I've been practicing this through just like deep introspection and just like trying to basically, whenever I get very anxious or very nervous, like I'm about to do something that, you know, makes me nervous or makes me scared, I'll just start thinking about how insignificant everything is.
Yeah.
It's like we make everything out to be so much bigger and grandiose than it actually is. And none of it actually matters at the end of the day. It's like, this is all in your head.
No, yeah, it's crazy how you go from like one end of the spectrum to that.
Right?
It's facts. Yeah, I literally thought of that, I think yesterday, yesterday was Monday. Yesterday, because I was just having, the week before, I was having an awful week, and it was all in my head, and I was just like, dude, like, what's wrong with you? Like, nobody cares. Like, nobody really cares. You can fall off the face of the earth, and like, yeah, there might be a couple people who care, but in reality, like, if you fuck up, or like, if you make a wrong business mistake, if you make a wrong life choice, people are gonna forgive you. Just get up and move on and do something else. You know,
it's all in your head.
Like, and
it's all in your head. Dude.
I think that actually keeps like 90% of people from actually achieving or chasing what they want to do in life.
Just the fear of failure. Yeah, the fear of just getting hurt and just feeling pain. Yeah. Like, I'm a huge believer as well that existence itself is, and this is some people will view this as being a very nihilistic and very pessimistic way of looking at life, but I view it as being constant suffering. But what I mean by that is, sitting here right now, you're not getting it like any younger, right? Like, you're getting older, your bones are slowly but surely getting more fragile. So it's kind of like, it's all a constant suffering. We're all decaying. We're all, I don't know, just like suffering, just like basically just incessant suffering, but you can do things that will make that suffering meaningful, purposeful.
Of course.
So you can choose to go about existence being a victim of circumstance, being a victim of you know, your perceived reality, and not putting yourself out there and not putting yourself outside of your comfort zone, and just accepting everything the way it is, to reduce or sustain that level of suffering that you're comfortable with. Or you can put yourself out there and just get rocked and get punched in the face various times, and just but later have that possibility of achieving a much, you know, substantial lifestyle, I guess.
Rewarding, you know, I mean, like, the higher the risk, the bigger the reward. So
100%.
You know, if you're suffering a bit more and you're pushing yourself that extra mile and you go through it, like, at the end of that tunnel, there's going to be a light, as always.
Yeah. What do you think about horoscopes?
I do read mine.
Okay.
I do read mine. Do I follow the whole compatibility thing? And, you know, if I meet somebody, I'm like, oh, what's your horoscope? No, not at all. But in some ways, going back to religion, in some ways I do think that
there are certain
it kind of like
traits.
It's like kind of a way for God to talk to you, or because sometimes those things are like head on, nail on, and you're just like, okay, this is weird. So I think that in some ways it's just the universe, maybe God, somebody talking to you, and that's the reason why I enjoy them. But
like I'm against just like people who use them to define everything in their life. Because I know people like that. I've known people like that, where they won't engage or interact with you if you tell them that you're a certain sign that's not compatible with theirs.
That's not.
Like, that's just too much, right?
Yeah.
And then I also went through that phase where, like, I would, you know, check on mine almost daily, see, you know, these things that just connected and clicked with everything that was going on in my life. And that, you know, does intrigue me. That does, like, you know, spark interest. But again, just relying on that, I think it should be used as like a tool, you know, like a reference point of sorts.
Exactly, yeah.
So if you're in like a bad place mentally or emotionally, and you just want to, you know, see if if anything resonates with you, if anything clicks, and then you'll check your horoscope, and then you're like, oh shit.
That's exactly, I was about to say. Exactly how I use it, yeah.
And then just use that as like a ref. But I am surprised by how, like, for example, I'm a Scorpio, right? A lot of girls or a lot of people will be like, ooh, like Scorpio, whatever, right?
They have the reputation, the rep.
I've met other Scorpios, for example, and I'm just surprised by like the similarities that we share. You know, like, that to me is one of the craziest things about horoscopes, is like, you'll actually see traits of yourself and other people and like strangers that have like similar signs. But again, like you shouldn't think that person is the exact replica.
No, of course,
like a Cali copy or something like that. Like it's not. It's just similar. And there is something there. It's like, but what is it? You know? Like,
no, exactly. It's just like what is it? The whole, I think what's it called? Retrograde? Whatever that thing with
Mercury retrograde.
Retrograde, whatever.
Yeah.
Like
retrograde, where like things start fucking up and shit.
Yeah, and it was like, low key, this is actually something's there. Something's
my life's on fire right now.
Yeah, something's there.
Yeah,
it's the same idea. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But it ties in like definitely a greater power or something because it's just
and also numbers too. Like I'm a huge believer in like numbers. Again, I'm not a guy who enjoys math. I've always been bad at math. I've always been bad at physics. I've always been bad at anything that has numbers in it. But I do think that numbers play a huge role in our existence and in a way that we don't really account for or that we don't really recognize. Like I'll be going through like a tough situation in life, or I'll be trying to figure something out and I'll look at my phone and then it's like 333. It's like repetitive numbers. It's like these subtle signs. I do feel like it's the universe trying to communicate with you and give you those signs. Like, hey, like, you know.
I saw something the other day about it, but I've yet to like explore that.
That side of things, right? Yeah. And then that ties in with like horoscopes and stuff.
I was gonna say, what about like the 11/11 thing? Do you believe in that? Yeah. You believe in like Make-A-Wish kind of stuff, or?
I don't make a wish, but I do believe in like when. I think that anytime that I look at my phone randomly, like obviously I'm not searching for it, I'm not looking for it. But if I'm like caught in my own head thinking about something, worrying about something, or I have this idea that I'm scared about implementing, I'll look at my phone and then there's like 11/11, 66, not 6.
That's a tricky one.
555. You know, like any repeated numbers, I'll be like, oh shit, like there's something here. Like I should dig deeper into this thought because this is a sign. So I have those superstitions, I guess, but I don't make a wish now.
Nah, okay.
But of course, like every night.
Yeah, exactly. It's like waiting till 11/11 every night.
Here
win the lottery. Win the lottery.
Like birthday candles and shit. Just blow it out. Like, no. Yeah, but all of those things like tie into like destiny and shit. So like religion, horoscopes, you know, faith and destiny. But I do believe that, for example, we should aspire to make our own destiny. If that makes any sense. So it's kind of like, again, relying on a framework. I like to use it as tools. So even religion, like I've done my fair share of like studying of like different religions. I've looked into it. I've looked into the literal terms in the Bible and the symbolic terms in the Bible and how they apply to like everyday life. And I do use and get parts from every religion and kind of create my own belief system.
Yeah.
But I use it as tools. And then with those tools, I try to curate and generate the destiny and the future that I want for myself, if that makes sense.
No. I mean, I'm a big believer in that as well. I think if you actually truly, I mean, give or take, there are some things that just really won't happen. Like, I think like Gary Vee speaks about it, like he wants to be a football player or a basketball or something like that. Like I'm obviously not going to be I'm 5'7", 155 pounds. I'm not going to be a football player, NFL.
Professional.
I'm not going to, play in the NBA. Yeah. And there's going to be things like that. But in other aspects of life, I believe you can 100%, you have your destinies in your hand. If you really want something, you'll make it happen. You know what I mean? And are there coincidence and are there things that are going to happen? Yeah, of course. But I think you could absolutely build it. And like you said, like if you're able to pick things out from everywhere, I think that overall that'll give you the tool set to do so.
Yeah, that's such a big one too. It's like parents who tell their kids, oh, like you could be whatever you want. You could be an NBA player, but then Timmy's like 5'2" and like chubby, overweight or whatever. And like it's creating these false illusions for your kids and just creating these standards that are unrealistic. It's setting yourself up to fail.
No, absolutely.
If like you know, and that's where channeling your passion is important, because your passion, I do believe, again, this all ties into like something bigger communicating with you. But I think that passion is a language that the universe or God or something is trying to engage with your soul. You know, like, it's trying to tell you like, hey, like listen to this voice, follow it. Mm-hmm. Don't obstruct it. Don't ignore it. Just try to. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think like you're right on with that. Like, it's kind of what makes you unique, because that is what you're kind of being attracted to. Yeah. That's kind of like the aura, like what's like oozing out of you. Let's say what's attracting and what the universe is bringing into you. So,
and not society trying to implement or bestow something upon you. It's like society telling you to become a doctor. Like, Austin, you're going to be a plastic surgeon now. It's like. That was my reality when I went from like 16 to 18. It's like my parents try to like make me something that would fulfill them, but they didn't really care about what would fulfill me. And then my parents are also very traditional, similar to yours, I think. It took some time for me to get into their heads and convince them that, hey, like this path that I'm on, not sure if it's going to work out, not sure if it's going to be successful, but it's making me happy. Yeah. And then it took a while for them to like to get into their thick skull, because they're very traditional. They're like, and you know, my mom, like, she wanted a degree in her hand. Too. It's like, no, you're gonna go to medical school. You're gonna do this. I'm like, do you know how fucking hard that is to fucking get into medical school?
Do you know how many years on top of it?
How many years? And she wanted to be like, oh, like the first plastic surgeon of the family. Again, it's just like pride and ego. It's like her pride and ego.
I think like that I could talk about. For that basically. Wait, hold up. Shout out to my mom. I know
Shout out to my mom too.
She's definitely gonna be watching this. But I must say, I have me and my mom, and you know, my dad obviously has had certain things, aspirations he's wanted me to be. But he was more so like a mental challenger in the sense that he just wanted me to be the best in whatever I'm doing at that current moment, let's say. So when it came to grades, when it came to soccer, when I was playing soccer, when it came to whatever, I'll get an A. He's like, why is not an A+? A score a goal, why wasn't it 2? Exactly. Now with my mom, it was a bit different. You know, she, for example, I had an internship my first 2 years at Seton Hall, the same place. And meeting that boss was when I was like, entrepreneurship's what I want to do. This guy's the dopest guy I've ever met. This is what I want to do. I'm taking this path. And with my sophomore year in college is when I opened up my LLC and I dove in. My mom, in the beginning, she was proud, right? Proud. But she hated it, and I know she's always dreamt me to be a like financial analyst on Wall Street, J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, all those, Deloitte, like a consultant. And that's what she wanted me to be. Like, she wanted to be able to be like, oh, my son, you know, he works at J.P. Morgan.
Pride,
And I was just like, Mom, look, I'll keep it a buck with you right now. And I've told her plenty of times, and I was just like, that's not me. That's not going to satisfy me. Is it cool? Is it lovely? Yeah. Would I like to at some point, maybe for a little bit? Yeah, why not? Like, give it a try. Maybe I will fall in love with it, especially now that the landscape of business is changing and there's a lot of startup entrepreneur aspects in big businesses nowadays.
Yeah. Drastic changes,
But, you know, I don't know. I just have this thing.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't take that step of resistance, right? Like, a lot of people go through with that, and they wake up 10 years from now and they're on Wall Street. They're doing a job that they hate. They're working with people that they don't like. They're miserable and depressive. Like, that to me is like just a waste of life. It's like, again, it also comes down to the like, people like to think like, oh, like, you're going into entrepreneurship to get filthy rich, you know, to like money is a byproduct of your greater passion, I think. Again,
absolutely.
Passion over profit. So if you want to be an entrepreneur, like, it should stem from a bigger purpose. It should stem from a passion like fitness. It should, you know, and then as a byproduct of your suffering, of your sacrifices, of your relentless drive and persistence, despite all the odds, because it's not easy. Like,
absolutely,
anything worth doing is not.
I mean, you question yourself every day. I don't know about you, but I could
every hour, every half
just
hour.
Like, I'm like, what am I doing?
Like, who do I think I am? But that's called imposter syndrome. So that's one of the phases of innovation is imposter syndrome. So when you went to start your LLC, I'm certain that you probably went through that. Or maybe not immediately because you were excited at first, but then it hits you eventually where you start questioning, it's like, who am I to think that I can open and manage my own marketing company?
What is it? The first first couple months when I was setting stuff up, I was still in my internship. So it was like the whole Gary Vee thing. I was 8 to 5 in my internship. I love the place though, so don't get me wrong. But the thing was, 7 o'clock I was on the road, sit in traffic, got there at 8, which was an hour earlier just to avoid the massive traffic jam.
Shit. So you got there early.
So I got there early. I would leave at 6 some days, but 5 normally. 6 to miss out on traffic. I'd get home by 7, have a meal, go to the gym. It was 10 o'clock. From 10 to 3. I slept 4 hours for a straight 3 or 4 months trying to set that up. So at that time was the excitement, right?
Yeah.
Got my LLC, finally came in the mail, got my license. Then I went the paperwork. Then I went to open my business account at the bank, and I'm like, that's when when I was sitting in the chair, I was like, it's like, oh yeah, 19-year-old, cool. What am I doing?
Wow. Yo, but that's crazy that you went through that phase of sacrificing sleep. Right.
Yeah. I mean, but because at the end of the day,
right?
You don't even. I'm actually more tired now that I sleep 7 hours than I was when I was sleeping 3 to 4.
Because you were excited before.
Exactly.
Crazy excited, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'll look back on past tweets on just who I was, I don't know, 2 years ago or during the initial phases of Fiber. It was exactly that. It was I would sleep 4 hours, 3 hours, and I would pride myself in it. I would go on social media and post it, be like, "Oh, fuck sleep, whatever." Who needs sleep, whatever. The grind, whatever. So I would create that illusion that everything was, or better, that was sustainable long term, and it's not sustainable long term. And eventually, that tide kind of comes down, and then you get to that point where you just question yourself. You're like, "Whoa, what? Who do I think I am?" But and then that's where a lot of people quit. So sitting at that bank table, a lot of people are like, you know what?
Go home.
Is he looking? No. So I'm just walk out casually and just fuck, all of this.
Yeah.
But if you persist, then even if it fails, for example, you learn from that experience and you learn that, okay, so I could check this off my list. I'll try something else.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's all a learning process, man.
Absolutely.
You have to fail.
I think too, the biggest thing, one thing that I've within the last 6 months, I think the biggest thing I've grown in or had growth in was in myself and being aware of certain things in my life, let's say. And the biggest thing was realizing the waves of life that's going to happen. You have to realize when you're at your low and be like, okay, this is a low. This doesn't mean quit. It's just a low. It's okay. Things from the lowest lows is going to be the highest highs, right? And that's a saying.
Yeah,
but
true.
I think I've been grateful to have that, let's say, life lesson come over me the last couple months because it's really helped me dig out of everything and just be like, all right, it's time. Because, coming up to graduation and being part of that program, I could read you a list right now. I think that Google Doc's still there of it's Amazon, Goldman Sachs, all these kids went to these top places. And then you have me, New World Media. Cool,
but it's your own thing.
It's my own thing, so people are skeptical about it, and even myself, I won't lie. At graduation, I'm like, all right, Austin, you ready for this, bud?
You ready for this, bud?
But you have to realize that was a low, and I was scared, but now it's it's time, let's go,
Yeah, and it's giving yourself those mental pep talks, right? It's solidifying that mindset and that policing. It's always policing your thoughts. That's another thing that I've learned through the practice of meditation. It's to not suppress any thoughts, but acknowledge them, and you kind of filter them out. So they come through a filter, and you're able to put them in the right places. So what happens is a lot of people don't develop that filter, and then the thoughts just come in, and then they just go all in one place, and then it confuses them, and then they get overwhelmed by that pile of just negativity disguised as positivity, and vice versa.
Yeah.
And so I do believe that you have to go through shit for you to develop that in the first place. It's one thing for you to tell somebody who never went through anything in life and who's aspiring to be an entrepreneur, you can teach them about the concept or the theory of mental toughness, right? Like, hey, like this is what happens when you get down. You just tell yourself, oh, it's okay. Like get back up. Easy, right? It's not fucking easy because when you get to that point,
you don't.
It's like
shit.
You want to kill yourself sometimes.
That's true.
It gets deep.
For certain people, it gets to that point, and it's sad, but it's. But that's like what is it? This big thing that I have with my dad. It's actually pretty funny. So going off of that, like life is the biggest teacher you're ever gonna have, and I think that's exactly why college just kind of didn't work with us. It's because it's like I think we're students of life. I don't think we're really students of college, sitting down regurgitating. I think we kind of want to, like I tell my dad all the time. My dad tells me what to like certain things to do and warns me to do certain things certain ways just so I could avoid the thing. And I'm like, Dad, let me hit my face on that floor. I'm ready. I want to learn. If I don't get that taste of that blood, if I don't get taste of that punch, I'm not gonna understand how hard it is or how to get by it. You know, like if you're gonna give me your hand and help me through it, I probably won't get that taste. And then when it actually happens and I don't have you, I'm in trouble. You know what I mean?
Then you're fucked.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, 100%. It's getting punched.
A
lot, a lot. And I forget which boxer said this, but he said that the way that he would train is that he would tie his hands behind. I don't want to say that it's Floyd Mayweather, but he would basically just train himself into like dodging punches rather than like trying to like give out punches. He would try to like minimize the impact and minimize the times that he was hit. And so he would ask his partner, his partner, whatever, trainer, to increase the strength of the punches each time to get to a point where it was just like sucker punching. It was just like punch as hard as you can. And then with that gradual increase, the risk of getting injured, the risk of getting a concussion, of getting CTE, of getting brain damage, whatever, increased as well. And that increased his sense of urgency. So it would always create a different landscape for him. Where he would never feel as if he was being trained, as if he was sparring with someone. He would feel as if he was fighting for his life. And then he would apply that to every fight. So then he completely changed the way. Again, I can't remember for the life of me who it was.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it was Mayweather. That man could dodge.
He doesn't get hit.
He just glides off him.
So he just like reconfigured and redefined what it means to be in a fight. Like for him, that's not a fight. That's not a competition. It's life or death.
Absolutely,
right? So his opponent is going in like, think about the money, think about the riches, think about his family back in his country, think about all those things. All he cares about is just surviving that moment.
I mean,
and that's like that, you learn that, right? So then if you're that person, if you're Floyd Mayweather in whichever sector that you're trying to aspire to grow in, and you enter that room, you'll set yourself apart from everybody else that's in there. Like everybody else will notice a difference, like your energy's different. Your way of just going about life is different. Everything's different about you. And then you become an original, just like Adam Grant talks about. Because like originals have, like I've been reading Leonardo da Vinci's autobiography. Not autobiography, biography. One of the things that I've learned from that book is how to curate a unique mindset, in a sense where we have this idea of genius being that nerdy kid in high school that would ace every single test, that would, pass with flying grades, and you would ask him, oh, did you study? No, I didn't even study for the test. I didn't even know we had a test today. And even without studying, he would just do everything and just get A's, straight A's. That's our definition of genius. But genius to me ties into like being an outlier, being original, being, just what?
I was literally like the first 5 pages of that book is like describing that.
Really?
It's about like those kids that are like, those superstar kids or whatever. And the problem is that they're just superstars because they're learning the information they're given. And I don't want to jump to the point, but like I feel like you're about to go to the thing that like they were saying. Meanwhile, the people who actually later on in life actually become those success stories, those geniuses. Meanwhile, those kids are learning, let's say, they're learning how to play the piano, to play Beethoven, right? All these science stuff that are already within this universe are already there. That's what they're learning fast, let's say. That's why they're that genius. Meanwhile, the other kids who are questioning and struggling and stuff like that is the people later on in life who actually go beyond because they didn't master what's already learned. They're going beyond that kind of thing.
100%.
It's not exactly word for word, but I know the first 5 pages literally.
But that's exactly it. And to me, it's curiosity. I've been obsessed with curiosity for the past few months, actually. It's like curiosity to me is the biggest quality that anybody who aspires to do anything great in life should have or has.
I 100% agree.
So like curiosity in, for example, if you're curious about...
you want to see something funny? I literally tweeted this today.
Holy shit. Did you really?
I swear to God. You can check it. Check the date.
Holy shit.
And it was in the book.
Wow. There you go. Curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity ties into originals. It ties into outliers. Outliers talks about Bill Gates and like all these people that we put on a pedestal and we think that they were born like that. You know, it's divine intervention. They've been bestowed this information, this knowledge. It's not. It's just like the way that they operate and view things. You know, like kids who struggle in school are kids who aren't engaged, aren't interested in the right way that they should be, I think. So Leonardo da Vinci, he would every single morning he would wake up, he would make a list of the most random shit, like a to-do list of just the most random shit. Like he would write down, figure out like which muscles are engaged when a bird flaps its wings.
Wow. That's
and then the next one's like figure out why the moon is whatever. You know, like it'll be like the moon, the squirrel, the insect, how to paint this, how to calculate this. It's like this vast range of different subjects, of different things. And he would go after that information. And then that's why he was considered a genius, because he had all this knowledge and different shit.
But that's like learning about life in general. It's like, to some it might look stupid, I guess, or be stupid. But it kind of gives you that culture, kind of gives you that, you know, 100%. That overall, I think also it sparks creativity. Like
100%.
You know what I mean? And you know, obviously this man 100%. Is a genius when it comes to that. But yeah, like, you know, curiosity definitely is something. And just seeing how things work, like little things, like I was like reading this before, like, you know, like some people just pass by and just like, oh, okay, well, it's just a bottle of water kind of thing.
And that goes into spending time by yourself, kind of, you know, like allowing yourself time to step back and look at things, just analyze things, just be in the moment, you know.
Exactly.
With social media and with phones and everything, like it's just constantly like notifications left and right, people sending messages, people wanting responses, emails, phone calls and stuff. So it takes away from your experience. It takes away from your ability to just read a bottle of water. Like,
absolutely. I would imagine.
Notice certain things and then Google it, find out about it, you know, like, I don't know.
I imagine with you too, like with Fiverr, just always putting out fires.
I suck at, and you know this, I suck at responding to messages. And I've tried to explain myself countless times. And I know that people won't really understand. It's just that I don't know what it is. So, like, I can't, no matter how hard I try, to always respond to every single message and every single time, like every single email, text message, DM, you know, immediately, like once it's sent. I just can't do it. Because of the whole energy thing, I think. It's kind of like, if I'm like focused, for example, if I'm focused at curating the design for the bathrooms at Fiber Fitness, right? It's a big project. It's a big endeavor. It's going to take time. It'll probably take days for me to do.
Of course.
Until I finish that task, I can't really allocate resources and energy to anything else, no matter how small it is. It's like, Callie, just say yes or no, this and this. I can't. Like, I'll view it after I finish that task. And then that's when I'll go through all the messages, all the fucking emails and texts and stuff. And people get pissed, man. Like, people get the wrong idea. Like they think that it's egotistic. It's like me being like, like he's too good to respond now. He's this and that. It's like, bro, it's just, I can't explain it, but I'm sorry. I hope you understand. And once Fiber's open, we'll laugh about it and I'll be more consistent. But right now it's just like,
you're in your zone, you're in your tunnel. And like, I mean, like I always tell a lot of, like I tell myself all the time and people around me, my direct family is just like, oh, the world doesn't revolve around you, and there's other people who have other things to do, and that's just the reality of the fact, and so on. So like, but it's better that you do it that way because at least that's how you operate and you work. And
I tell people that too. Like I'll give them a heads up. Like I'll literally go on stories and be like, guys, thank you for the patience, thank you for this, whatever. But don't take this personally. I'll even state that. I'll be like, don't take this personally. But I think that even makes it worse because then people are like, oh, Big Shot now has to announce on stories or whatever. It's like, bro, like I literally have a book right here. It's called Ego is the Enemy by Ryan Holiday. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
No, I have not.
This book was one of the books that changed my life and just perspective. It was one of the books that I've read before the Fiber Fitness endeavor, before the whole project. And that's a huge misconception, in my opinion, about my personality. Like people who don't know me, and know me off of social media, I do think that, and I've gotten this before by people that I've befriended, people that have become friends, close friends. They've told me that their perception of me is being this egotistic person, right? Because I understand how that is kind of curated and how that's kind of perceived, but I'm the person that cares the least about ego, like to a point where I'll just put ego aside to do whatever it is that I have to do. Like, I don't care about.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that it's like a dual-edged sword. Like, I'm the same way. Like, I don't care. Like, if I have to bite the bullet, I have to bite the bullet. If I was wrong, I was wrong. I was wrong. That's it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's somewhat okay to be ego and a little bit egotistical just because of the sense that I know for a fact, at least, I have aspirations and I want to be the best. Like I want to be the best fitness guy. I want to be the best. I want to be the best this. And like I'm sure you want to have the best gym in Jersey, in the Northeast, and this and that. And so that's where that ego plays in. Yeah. But it's not in the sense of like you're trying
positive sense. Fuels.
Exactly. And I think that's where people kind of just like, oh, like this guy. Like, no, it's just a self driver. It's not for me to have some like something over you, like, oh, I have the best gym in Jersey. No, it's like I have the best gym in Jersey for myself.
I can't agree more with that. And honestly, my opinion is that a lot of your followers, maybe they don't tell you this to your face, but you inevitably become a reflection of their insecurities. So the more you aspire to do in life, the more you aspire to climb, the more you aspire to put yourself out there and grow, the people who are not doing the same, they will look at you and try to kind of break you down in their own minds.
Absolutely.
So they'll say, oh, Austin is like that because he inherited that money, or he's only like that because this and this. They'll create things and motives to kind of justify so that they can sleep at night.
Absolutely. No, that is 100%.
And that happens. And that's like something that you can't control. And even if it's like, I hate to say this, but it happens even with like your best friends, like sometimes like you don't really know. So you'll get to a certain point in life and that's when you start, again, life is the greatest teacher of all time. Only through time and through experience that you'll find out and you'll, come to terms with certain things that you probably never expected before.
That's true.
And I do strongly believe, so like that's why to me it's very admirable to like be able, for example, to view other people's ambitions as sources of inspiration. Right?
Absolutely.
So I'll feed off of your ambition rather than envy it. I'll feed off of it because like to me that's like, damn, like he's like grinding, he's focused.
Exactly.
So I'm gonna like try to curate that towards my own goal. Like towards like whatever it is that I'm trying to accomplish. But a lot of people will just look at you and say like, oh, fuck that guy.
No, it's like, I think too, it's a lot of mentality. Like one thing I'm very grateful is I have a mentality of abundance. I think there's plenty of money to go around.
Yeah.
Like, I went to the city yesterday with my good friend. He has this passion for coffee and stuff like that. I go to like coffee shops all the time. People are always asking me like, whatever. And I was like, dude, I know you're, like, so his end goal in life is actually to own a coffee shop.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, dude, you're already known as the coffee man between our friends.
Yeah.
Start a blog.
Yeah,
Get your brand. Start building your brand. And then he was going to get domain names, right? Mm-hmm. And like all the names that he picked out were like, good, actually attractive names and stuff like that. And it was like $10,000, $15,000. And he's like, what the hell? And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, back in the day when the .com era blew up, people used to sell .coms as real estate, like literally website names. Yeah. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like this water in a buck, like a cup.
Yeah.
There's money to go around. You know what I mean? And so when it comes to that, I think those people also view like, oh, he's getting a piece of my pie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't agree with that because like again, like Christian Guzman, I think is a big inspiration for both of us.
Yeah, 100%.
All his best friends are Shawley, Max, his own girlfriend. They all have clothing lines that compete with him.
They're all doing their own thing.
They're all doing, and they're all HQ'd in the same spot.
Yeah.
So it's just like it's the thing of abundance and having that little kind of switch and. Unfortunately, not everybody, but
Yeah. Would you agree that New Jersey is specifically a state where, because I've found that, for example, Christian Guzman grew up in a different state, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where he grew up, but
Texas.
He lives in Texas now.
I think he grew up there too. Stafford or something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know, because I feel that New Jersey has this very hostile take on just people who aspire to be more. It's like, just like you said, like they have a scarcity mindset rather than an abundance mindset. So it's kind of like, again, you're going to aspire to be great, so you're going to take away from my possibility of being great. So you're taking away from my greatness. It's like, that's not how it works. Just like you said.
Exactly.
It just compounds off of each other. It's just like we become stronger if we work together, if we create, just like they created a tribe of just ambitious entrepreneurs.
Exactly, yeah.
And they're all best friends. And why can't that be replicated? Well, not replicated, but why can't that be used as an inspiration, rather than envying it and saying like, oh, like they're only together because whatever. Like, again, like that's how I feel like most people, at least that I've come in contact with, like that's how they think. And that's why, again, I have like a relatively small social circle. Like I don't really, like I'm friendly to everybody, but I like to say that I'm extremely friendly with everyone.
Acquaintances kind of with everybody, and then
friendly, respectful with everyone. But then I have like small circle of friends who I feed off of inspiration wise, who like are doing their own things, just like you said. And I feed off of that inspiration. And I'm like, wow, like that keeps me motivated. And it could be a friend who's like aspiring to be a world-class baker.
Yeah,
but like that to me is like,
anything,
that's
dude.
fucking dope.
Exactly.
I'm like, holy shit, like that's. But having that mindset is essential, I feel like, and that's kind of what I want to do with this whole podcast and with like Fiber Fitness in general. It's like create this movement of people that can come together under one roof without looking at that roof like, oh, like this is Callie's roof.
Like this is glass ceiling kind of thing. You can't go any higher.
Yeah, like, and why should I even walk into this building if it's not mine? You know, like that's not a good mindset to have. So I kind of want to create like this movement of like outliers, of like like-minded individuals, just like as yourself, and just help each other, inspire each other to grow.
Exactly. It's like what they say. You don't build, or you shouldn't. You don't build the highest skyscraper by knocking other people's down. No, you build it by making yours bigger, and that's it. And that just becomes self-motivation, the drive, and this and that. And while that's happening, you're going to motivate others. And, and there, there's enough money here to go around.
More than enough money, man. There's more than
just got to find it. But
yeah. And I forget which podcast it was, but it was the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. I forget which guest. It was a guy that knew his shit in like economics and just world class. He said that there's more than enough money for people to become wealthy. It's like everyone can be wealthy, he said. And then Joe even questions like, really? But everyone? So like even Joe is kind of like, oh, but is there enough money? But there is enough money to go around. Like it's not unattainable. It's not crazy.
I mean, when the richest man in the world is literally, was $142 billion. Jeff Bezos, right? Yeah. He was double like Bill Gates. $142 billion. I couldn't even fathom the amount of money that is. I feel like you could literally hand out $1 million to every person in Jersey. And
I don't think that you can spend all of your money when you're at that level.
Oh, no.
It's like
that's hard. That is extreme.
It's hard for you to buy enough things with that money. Like it's hard for you to spend all of it.
Yeah.
It's just so much fucking money, man.
I could not imagine, and I couldn't even imagine the stress that comes behind all that too.
Yeah,
like you know,
yeah. Especially since he recently went through his divorce and she gave her what, like 80 billion or something like that, or 40 billion.
I think 40. But she literally became, I think, the second richest woman in the world after that.
Just like that.
But hey, you know, you pick your poison and.
Yeah, but to her credit, like she was with them during the initial phases of Amazon, and I think she played like a huge role in the development of the company. And
absolutely.
So she deserved it for sure. But that's another thing to me that's very weird is like marriage, because like marriage to me, I don't know, man. It just seems so weird how you literally have a contract with someone that in case that contract is breached and you guys get a divorce, like she has the right to like it's
I don't know. Wait, so you're talking about like prenups and stuff like that?
Yeah, like
do you believe in that or
like if you get a I don't know, to be honest.
It's a really tricky one.
But I have like mixed feelings with like,
exactly. Like, I could imagine with guys like that, but like
like if you're at like obviously, if you're at a Jeff Bezos level and you're a billionaire, like I bet you most billionaires don't even consider marriage or anything like that. Like
probably not at that point. Not in like a bad sense. Like I don't want to put it across that.
Yeah,
it's just
of course, yeah.
I feel like when you're in those people like that person's shoes, it's a different game. Like I think I was literally watching like a reality TV show. Even off of that, the guy it was actually Love Island. The guy was like a professional basketball player, and he was just like, yeah, like, you know, the problem, I came here to this show because like nobody knew who I am, and it gives a girl a chance to like me for me rather than my money kind of thing. So I feel like that's a big part of why those people don't, because they have to play that mind game, you know, like I was saying earlier, like I couldn't even imagine the stress or whatever that comes with that money. It's stuff like that too, you know?
Yeah.
But
that's tricky, right? It's like, at what point do you think that starts happening?
I couldn't even.
I don't think it takes much, to be honest. I think that if you start, you know, just traversing down a certain path and you start making a considerable amount of money and you start making some noise, I think that things already, like, people start changing the way that they approach you, the way that they, I don't know. Like, that's very tricky. And it's very hard for you to, like, I guess, filter out and see who's who.
I was going to say, I think that leads you to another lesson in life and just trying to, you know, gauge people and scanning people and, you know, that stuff.
Yeah. It's all about, literally that, just analyzing everything and just being present in the moment. But that, I don't think I'd ever want to get to Jeff Bezos' level of rich, to be honest.
Yeah, I think
it's just excessive. It's just too much.
Yeah, like I respect it, but I also disagree slightly with it. Like that's just absurd.
Yeah,
like, you know,
it's just too much money. And what do you think about the whole thing, mission to like colonize Mars and get people to like travel in space and make it accessible, commercial travel?
Yeah. So if it's accessible to the majority of the population, why not? I think, you know, as humans, we need to, you know, continuously reach and evolutionize, or else, you know, we're going to go extinct at some point. That's just part of life. It's a circle of life. And
just like recently, we almost went extinct.
Exactly. So we definitely do something like that. But my only, like, biggest thing off of that, it's like I've read a couple of articles. It seems at times that it's only going to be accessible to like the top 1% at times. Yeah. I know they talk about making it like a wide, but it turns like and the reality of things, you know, if people can't even afford like apartments around the area here in Newark, like, how are they going to afford to go? You know what I mean? Like
fly around.
Exactly. So I think it's a great idea. But if it's accessible to, you know, the common people rather than just the top 1%.
The same goes to like artificial intelligence and like integrating technology with humans. People talk about, you know, I don't know, just like adding certain features that will enhance your current features. So I was reading an article recently that they were talking about this contact lens that if you blink twice, it zooms in.
Oh, wow.
So they were explaining the science behind it and how you don't have to be disabled to purchase it and to install it, and that anybody can have it. But I do think that every new innovation will be accessible only to, just like you said, the 1%. And then once they're satisfied with what they currently have and they acquire the best and the best of that technology, then they'll start giving us like fragments of like the or kind of okay technology version, you know,
or even in some like weird epidemic kind of crap, like they'll just like too. They'll like create like a superior race kind of thing. Like what is it?
I'm scared of that.
All right, Fred. If so, Joe Rogan, right? You watch. He has a podcast with Elon Musk, and they talk about AI, and they talk about all that. Scared the shit out of me. It's like literally like 3-4 hours long. I recommend it, but like you talk about all about that. And
I saw it. Yeah.
It's freaking crazy what could happen, or like the Neuralink that he's making and everything. Oh my god.
And his view, which is the most interesting to me, is like he's the man behind all of these major developments, all of these major innovations, and he's the one that's the most worried about
and against
the
it,
future, against it.
Yeah,
too.
I think this week literally, I think he tried to pass a bill or try to do something to actually hinder the progress that's been making in the AI space. I don't remember exactly, but I feel like a notification popped up. I didn't get to read it. Yeah. But I think it's just because he knows like the true potential behind it. I mean, that man is a genius, and I wouldn't doubt it. But that's scary when the guy at the forefront is kind of hacking back at it. You know what I mean?
A guy that's like 10 times smarter than both of us together.
No, exactly.
Is giving us signs and telling us, hey, like don't do it. And then everybody does what they do because of profit, I feel like. So it's kind of like profit is going to result in our demise as a species.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
You know?
There's a book that I read a couple of months ago. It's called How to Fix the Future by Keen, I believe. It's a good book, good read. But he kind of explains the idea behind it. I think it's because we like to evolutionize, make money. It's just like when cars came into play. Yeah. You know, all these big companies were coming out, Ford and this and that. They're pumping out cars, this, blah, 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 making money. Yeah. But there was no safety features engaged, like seatbelts, until like 50 years later, and after thousands and hundreds of thousands, let's say thousands of deaths. Yeah. And they're just saying like AI is about to be on the same trend. But the difference between AI and a car is AI is learning. You know what I mean? And so they say by the time we finally figure out that we have to kind of put regulations and stop, it's going to be way too late. And so that it kind of goes into that. But it's a scary thing. It's a scary thing to think about.
It definitely is. And I've watched like videos that explain how they learn, and it scares the shit out of me.
It's freakish.
It's like what takes us maybe a year to learn and to master, they'll learn in a matter of minutes. It's just pattern recognition, data chunking, and they always get better. Like it's always better. So if it took them 5 minutes to learn one thing, then the next time it takes 1 minute, and then a nanosecond, and then it's just instant, and then it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
They say too that at least for humans, I think this is like a plus, but I don't know if I would want this. I think Google, there's a certain futurist, let's say, for Google that has like an 80% predictability about the future. He's been right 80% of the time so far. And he says by 2029, we'll be able to insert a chip in the back of our head and we'll be able to pull anything from the cloud. And it's just like...
And then view it in your lens, maybe, just view it in front of you.
And I'm just like, 2029, wow,
It's right there.
It's 9 years, 10 years. Yeah. And stuff like that, though, is just like, would you want that for yourself? Yeah. Do you think you could live with that? Like, I don't know.
Would you do it?
Being that I embrace tech, if there was no health repercussions for it, yeah, sure, why not?
How about the whole like tracking thing? Because think about it, if you insert a chip inside you and you make yourself somewhat of a robot and somewhat of a machine, and everything's connected to the cloud. I don't know if you saw this as well. They're trying to they're creating this technology that kind of, it'll paint your thought process. So if you're thinking about driving down a road, the computer will generate a scene that resonates with that thought process.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So basically they're, setting in stone what is abstract and what's in your mind. And that, to be like, for example, what if the government has access to every single thought that you have? Like, that is the scariest part to me. It's kind of like, I don't know, man. It's kind of like...
Yeah, as much as I love tech, I think there is big barriers that need to be crossed about protection, and I think,
privacy.
Privacy. Like, we sell our souls the moment we accept the terms and conditions on this. Any app we download, the government knows more about us. I mean, that Alexa probably is going to pop something up later on for you, like the book that I just mentioned. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
because it's listening in.
It's like scary. It is 100%. But I think if we are to, evolutionize and move forward, we have to find just a common ground. So, like, do I agree with this stuff going forward? Yes, but do I agree with like that whole privacy issue and stuff? Like, nah, like I wouldn't, want to essentially have the government in my head, but
all the time. I do think that sacrificing privacy is a precondition for any form of progress, and that's just like you said. Like, people will download an app or buy a new iPhone and they never read the terms or conditions or all those.
Click.
They're like, oh yeah, sure. And then people complain later when Facebook sells their data or when
but it's like very minimal, you know what I mean? Like, I forgot, like the whole, I think like the Cambridge Analytica thing that happened a while back, people were like freaking out. Meanwhile, like it gave up, I think, their emails and their names, and that was it. And they blew up on Facebook. Meanwhile, Target actually lost a bunch of data on credit card information.
Oh yeah.
And they swept it under the rug.
Yeah. Because of the Facebook thing, maybe.
They're just like
go under the rug. It's like, focus on him.
Exactly. So, but like what you were saying, I think that goes to the thing of the whole idea. Like, I don't know if you believe in like the whole utopia thing, the concept behind it, but it's literally like, you're sharing everything.
Yeah.
So, with family, like, you share everything, and that's why your family is your family. And, at some point later on down the road, like, I've read tons of articles about how we're going to start sharing cars and this and that. So that's why I feel like that whole privacy thing also will, little by little, become gray lines, and people will be more accepting of it.
People get over it.
Exactly,
Yeah, because if you were to tell someone 20 years ago the idea or the business model behind Uber, they would just look at you and be like, wait, you want me to get inside a stranger's car?
Exactly.
That's not a taxi. That's not yellow. You want me to do that and trust them to get me where I need to go and trust them with my credit card information and shit? Like, that's just something so abstract. And then you get Elon Musk, who talks about digging tunnels underground and driving your Tesla on a platform and then going underneath at 200 miles an hour. Yeah. Like, that seems so abstract to us right now. But what if in 50 years, that's just what you do? It's like, you drive on highways,
definitely
you still do that? Bro?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that highway still exists. It's like, no, like, that's not a thing anymore. And it's funny how, because if you were to tell Cali from 10 years ago, like, oh, like in 2020, we'll have flying cars, we'll have robots walking down the street, assisting the elderly, we'll be living in iRobot, basically. He would believe you, and that's what I would expect. But then what you realize is that Elon Musk said that the only way that we can progress isn't going into the sky and like creating flying cars, but going underneath the ground because it's just more structured, it's just more predictable, it's more reliable, I guess.
Of course, yeah.
Do you think that flying cars will ever exist, like ever be a thing, or do you think that that's...
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Because, as much as we also want to go underground, I personally think, obviously Elon Musk is smarter than me, but I think at some point though, it is in terms of like Earth itself going to be a structural like catastrophe. So,
imagine just a bunch of tunnels underneath us.
Yeah, exactly. Like New Jersey's supposed to be underwater at some point. California is going to break off. Like all that stuff. It just brings up questions. So. And either way, I think they're making advances, even like in hoverboards using it. I think France this past week literally has like flying boards for the military, like jetpack boards or something like that. Yeah. And it's just, they tested.
For the military?
Yeah. The guy tried to go across the strait, like from France to England. He actually crashed it when he went to go fuel. But like they do have those like technology. Yeah, basically. Wow. Yeah. So it's like it's happening.
Yeah.
But a car is probably like light years away. Not light years, but a handful of years away. But
And you also have to account for humans, like we're very unpredictable.
Exactly.
There's ego, there's that. But yeah. hopefully we advance to a point where we kind of diminish ego and we kind of become, just like you said, like we share more, we're more empathetic, we're more engaged with each other, we're more, I don't know, just connected. And with all of this connectivity that we're already exposed to, like social media and everything, I do think that we're leading up to that, where we'll get to a point and it's just common to share a room with a complete stranger, to put your house up on Airbnb. It's like everybody's doing it. So once you get to a point where everybody's doing it, then it comes down to FOMO and the fear of missing out, and then you'll just be the only person that doesn't have a chip in planning, you know, on the back of your neck. So you'll be the weird guy, you'll be the weirdo. So I think it's all inevitable. I think it's very exciting, but it scares the shit.
Yeah, it's a tricky time. Tricky time to be alive.
And what's your opinion on like the whole fitness realm, like approaching it from a social media aspect? I wanted to get your opinion on this because you're fully immersed in both the fitness and the marketing side. It's like, if you go on Instagram and you search up the fitness hashtag, it's probably one of the most popular hashtags on Instagram right now, I think. And you look at all the content, I don't know if you get this, but to me, it's all very repetitive. It's all very alike. It's all like similar videos of similar exercises, you know, just different lettering, different editing styles.
Of course.
Where do you think that's heading? Like, what do you think about that?
Keep my head in the chair. Cool. So it's funny what you just previously said about how we're getting more interconnected and with social media and this and that, because I was listening to a podcast a couple of days ago with this guy who also started a digital marketing agency, and he within 6 months hit like 20,000 a month in reoccurring revenue. And they asked him that question. They're like, "Oh, where do you think marketing's going? Like social media marketing, well, marketing in general." And he was just like, I think it's going back to that one-on-one connectivity, like, you know what I mean? That interaction-based kind of thing. Social media is just making it easier for us to do so, rather than having to fly across the world, or, you know, now you can connect with somebody from New Jersey in California, and you can have that one-on-one relationship. And I think that's where influencer marketing is massive. And obviously it's still a very new space, and new and old at the same time. But I do think everything's gonna get even more personalized. Like now, if you can see, like if you look at Facebook ads ran by Nike, or other places, or Alphalete even, if you were to go see a certain product on their webpage, now it's only gonna show you Facebook ads of those certain products, and kind of curate the content towards those individual needs, kind of thing. And I think that's where it's going. I think shopping in general, like I think at some point we're gonna walk in, we're gonna go to a board or like a screen, and it's gonna have already a preconceived notion of what we like and what we don't like because of all the data they collect about us, and that's what they're gonna market to us right there and then.
And then the whole like fitness content creation part, like that's also one thing that I think too, is that the way for you to set yourself apart in the social media realm, especially if like fitness, be it fitness, fashion, culinary, whatever your passion is, for you to set yourself apart nowadays, since it's so accessible and everybody has access to it, and everybody can learn on YouTube how to edit in Premiere Pro, how to have similar edits to the videos that Nabil puts out, or how to, you know, like everybody can learn that. There's templates, there's presets. It's very easy. I think that what sets you apart is personality. It's the human aspect of it. It's presenting to the world you, because nobody can replicate you.
Absolutely. Everybody's unique in their own way.
No matter how hard I try to replicate you, for example, like I'll never, ever get to who you are as a person. And that's the superpower that everybody has, but they don't realize it.
No, of course. I mean, I think that too, that's like a tricky thing. Like I love Christian Guzman, but I know I'm not going to be Christian Guzman. I'm going to be like Austin Lopes. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. And again, like I think a lot of people just need to learn how to double down on themselves. Because it's like,
and stop comparing yourself to other people.
Exactly. Like I'm not going to be so-and-so, and so-and-so is not going to be me, but that's what makes so-and-so so great. You know what I mean?
It's because they're channeled into who they are.
And going off that, like I think that's exactly where sometimes that is where the fitness realm is going. And some people, or that's what they should do at least. Like I know I follow one guy, his name is Fred Bundy. He's from the UK, and so he actually takes like a very different approach. So he is a fitness guy, but it's not like intermittent fasting. It's not that. It's not the keto guy. It's not whatever. He is about like feels. Like, I don't know, it's feels? Abstract. Like, just like he like drinks coffee and he just goes on rants about random philosophical shit.
Okay.
Yeah. And
but that's his thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what makes him him, and that's why his crowd is very niche, and he's like, he's influencer and this and that, and that's what gets him going. So
yeah, and everybody becomes kind of desensitized towards content and towards, for example, I'll see someone post a certain video, a certain fitness video, and I'll just like, my reaction is, I've seen that before. Like, like that's like, there's no, people don't really care about value anymore. You know?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I think
that's huge now, and people will post a video because they look good, or like there is certain values there, but it's not the value that I guess reaches the most amount of people. Like, you have the sexual attraction value, for example. Like, you'll post something and then a girl likes, girls like it, this and that. There's, that. But I feel like everybody should try to, again, channel in and find who they are, and then set their own road. And down that road, they'll, contribute value to people and just give them things that will suit their lives and help them in some sort of way.
Especially if they're going to go out their way to actually tune in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Give the person something worthwhile instead of the cookie cutter same. But I think it's just human nature. A lot of times it's very hard to set that differentiating factor, and
it's easier to say it than actually do it. Yeah. And comparison is the thief of joy, for sure. It's like, if you keep comparing yourself to anybody, that's just setting yourself up to fail, because you'll never be that person. And then that's when I resonate very heavily with Matthew McConaughey's speech about him pursuing the person he's going to be in 10 years. I don't know if you saw that.
I have not.
His Oscar speech. Fantastic speech. He says that his hero is the person he's going to be in 10 years. So that way, in 10 years, when he, reaches that person, someone asks him, hey, so have you become your hero? Have you become your idol? He'll say, of course not, because my idol is the person I'm going to be 10 years from now. So he'll never reach his idol, but that's okay for him.
Again, I think a lot of it has to do with self-awareness too. If that's something that keeps you going, I think that's like, I personally think that's like a great way to go about it, because in that way, you're not comparing yourself to anybody but yourself. It's just a more futuristic, let's say, lens over it.
You're just doubling down.
Exactly, yeah.
What's your opinion on drinking and fitness?
Drinking, so like I kind of do it. I'm a fan of it though, because I think obviously not in excessive amounts. I think a lifestyle and balance is key when it comes to fitness. Yes, do I like bodybuilding and competitors and what they do and stuff? Absolutely. But if you're looking at for a lifetime whole, like, until you're 50, 60, 70, you have to have balance. So I think it's very doable. One of my favorite brands is Ghost Supplements, and they are massive in hosting going to parties, after parties, this and that.
It's called Ghost?
Ghost Lifestyle.
Ghost from Guzman's Association?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Ghost Lifestyle. And they're just very, like, a lot of their influencers are those kind of guys. They're people who enjoy life, but at the same time do fitness kind of stuff. And I think if you are able to understand the balance between dieting and going out and stuff like that, you can absolutely live a healthy lifestyle, a lean lifestyle, and, drink and
still enjoy.
Exactly,
social realm. I read recently that diets are bad in terms of, like, they are one of the leading causes for, like, binge eating.
Oh, yeah.
Because just like you said, it's not sustainable long term if you keep restricting yourself to an insane level. So if you keep telling yourself, like, I can't eat carbs, I can't drink, I can't do this, I can't do that, it'll work for a few weeks, it'll work for a month or two, and it'll be admirable. People will look at you like, good for you and stuff, but it's not sustainable long term. And then once you break that illusion, you're like, fuck this shit, I'm just going to become an alcoholic. I'm just gonna binge McDonald's now. Just kidding. So balance is the key to everything in life, I think, especially for fitness. It's if it's something that you have to think about and it's perceived as a burden, as something that like, I constantly have to think about my diet, like it has to be a part of who you are.
Exactly.
You know
like
what I mean?
it creates like a bad relationship with food. Like I like to say, because like I've been through it. Like was it previous years where I've done cuts? I've gone naturally 6% body fat. Like
Jesus.
Yeah, but those were days that if I didn't get home within 30 minutes of the gym because I would train at night, I would have a massive headache and I'd stay up till 4 or 5 in the morning. And by that time, I was so hungry. I said. And I literally would almost clear out my whole like pantry and just eat and eat and eat and eat. And it's like a lot of, if you go to watch like some YouTubers and that compete and stuff like that, they say it like you've restricted yourself for so long that your body at that point is literally just saying, stuff me. This is uncomfortable, but keep on feeding me because I just want this obnoxious feeling full. And that's it. And it's bad. And I think that is the problem with this day and age. Like there's the keto diets, there's this, there's
so many options and so many different things.
Dude, live a balanced lifestyle. Like you want to lose weight, be in a deficit. You want to gain weight, be in a surplus.
Right.
You know,
people overcomplicate it.
Exactly.
It's very simple, but then you have all these, and that's one of the reasons too that people aren't able to stay on track is that they're just overwhelmed with information. It's like, which diet should I try? And I went through that where I tried the keto diet. And then any diet that you try, you'll do some research and you'll see that there are people who are extremely against it. And here are the reasons why it's really bad for you and you shouldn't do it. And then again, you have the other side of the coin.
Of course,
And then, you know, and these are all like respectable people, like people who have PhDs and, you know, what, and you get confused. You're like, wait, but who should I listen to? Like, what should I do? I just want to be healthy. I just want to have a good body. I just want to get a girlfriend. I just want this. I just want that. And then that's when people just, but again, it's breaking it down to simple terms, to like layman terms. It's like, it's a calorie deficit. It's, you know, just staying on track with things that are within your realm of reality. It's not trying to follow an unrealistic diet plan that tells you to like eat lamb 3 times a week. Like, where the fuck am I going to get lamb? Like,
make sure you eat at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock,
yeah, that's bullshit.
10:15. Like,
just curate your own shit, you know, just do your own shit.
But yeah, and I think too, at the end of the day, it's just balance.
No, balance is everything. Balance. Yeah. Balance is. Yeah, man. Balance is. I'm just trying to think of what I was about to say. I was about to say something related to fucking diet. I just got a brain fart.
No worries.
But is there any more topics that we got from people?
It was just pretty much drinking and working out, which again, you know, balance, paying your dues when you have to pay. Don't like, you know, shrink to the point that you can't even go to the gym next day or the day of, try to get to the gym at least. It's going to happen. And when it does, just don't beat yourself up. And then it was the motivation through adversity and how do you keep on going.
And there's a lot of ego lifting at the gym too, right?
I literally saw it today. It's bad.
Which is sad. It's sad because that's. What's your opinion on Planet Fitness?
I hate it.
That's all I needed to know. Thank you.
I respect the people who do need a. That's the thing. Like, I am a very hardcore mentality kind of guy.
Yeah.
But I do respect the people who do like kind of like a safe haven, and I get it. Like, not everybody feels comfortable at the gym. I know. I get it. So that's what's good for those kind of people. But I just don't like that. It restricts others, you know what I mean, in some ways. And not saying that I'm like a lunk and I go and like, you know, to like those skinny, shirtless. Stuff like that at the gym. Like I don't, but it's just like when there's a whole alarm at the gym.
Yeah, dude. And they're hypocritical about it because it's a judgment-free zone, but they judge you if you're a lunk, right? So it's like, what are you doing here? Like, what's your goal? And then they break people's illusion. Like they create, to me, Planet Fitness, I associate it to a hamster wheel. Where you just dangle, progress or food or perceived progress in front of the hamster and it just keeps on and on this wheel. And then you feed it pizza, bagels, and then it's like...
It's going to be a never-ending circle.
Yeah, and that's great for business, I guess. And
I mean,
it's cheap,
obviously,
right?
Exactly. They actually just opened up one by my house just now. I'm just like, really? Another one? Like, we don't need any more of these.
Is it the one on... Route 22?
It's on, Springfield Ave.
Oh, okay.
Right by Home Depot.
Oh.
Yeah. Route 22 is opening up a 2-floored 24-hour fitness.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I kind of want to check it out. It looks cool.
In front of LA Fitness, and that should be interesting. Because
I mean,
kind of across
the whole street. There's the LA Fitness, there's Retro Fitness, there's NBD.
Yeah.
All within that little strip. There's the 24-hour fitness.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
But
hey, if the business is there and they think it's worthwhile, why not?
It's thriving. Yeah. I mean, just do whatever you think works. I mean, again, I think that gyms, I don't know, like you were talking about that new gym that opened up recently, Iron Culture, right? And how they're trying to, I guess, base off of Alpha Lead, and it's kind of similar and stuff. And to me, it's fascinating, and it's, dope how they included the name culture in their brand name, which is something that they're striving to create. And that to me is the main selling point to any business, I guess. It's just creating that sense of culture, that sense of connectivity, that human engagement, human interaction.
Absolutely.
So LA Fitness, you walk into any LA Fitness, there's no culture there. There's no. The retention rate for the employees sucks, because I know a lot of people who have worked at LA Fitness and they never stay there. And you always see like a hiring now sign or whatever, and it's just...
No, yeah, it definitely is. LA Fitness, I think their management also is very strict. I believe, like, I heard that, because I actually went to LA Fitness in Union trying to see if I could actually, like, talk to them and see if we can do anything. And I unknowingly how their structure works. And it's like literally for the manager to send an email to one of their employers, it goes to corporate and then comes back down. Meanwhile, he's sitting right there.
Yep.
And it's just that kind of, I think that culture kind of just dices everything up. Yeah.
And I've heard that for them to change the thermostat, they have to do the same thing. They have to reach out to corporate.
Yeah, because it's all controlled in corporate. So meanwhile, we're in Union, New Jersey, and it's being handled in California, I think.
And it's all based on the temperature in California. So they don't even, so it could be freezing cold here, but it's still like AC is blasting because in California there's fucking like catching on fire. And that to me was the biggest mindfuck. I was like, holy shit, like, you can't even change the temperature or base it off of the place that you're establishing. Like,
I always complain about how cold it is there. I hate it.
It's freezing cold always. And it kind of fucks up your whole sweat puddle.
Yeah, exactly.
That, like you want to see
vascularity.
Yeah.
Literally today I had like a tank top on, and then I put a shirt over. Got warm. Took off my shirt within like 5 minutes. It was just cold again. I was like, okay, this sucks. Had to put my shirt back on.
It's not good, man. It's not good for progress. It's not. I'm just checking to see if everything's okay. Yeah. So is there anything else that you wanted to kind of get off your chest, if you wanted to communicate and talk about?
No, man. I think I just want to appreciate for having me today and here,
thank you for coming on
and inviting me. And I just think that people need to engage in more things like this. I think, you know,
just human connection.
Just exactly.
Like talk.
I literally was thinking it in the car. I think like our biggest asset on this earth is human capital and our brains and just talking, because that's how everything came about. So I think this is very important. I think more people should get involved. And,
and just bouncing ideas off of each other. Like that's, to me, for example, every podcast, I gain so much from every experience. It's like you learn so much from everybody, and you can learn something from anyone. So like that's my mentality going to anything, you know, like
absolutely.
I could learn something from the homeless person outside Dunkin' Donuts the same way I can learn from the CEO sitting down and having a conversation. It's all about life experiences. It's all about, because we live every day through your two lenses. Like this is you, like you're the protagonist of your movie, and you're sharing it with other people. And then there's my movie, and now you're a part of my movie, and I'm a part of your movie. So it's all like a huge festival of just movies. I'm just making shit. But and then once the studio inside Fiber Fitness is up and running, you'll definitely have to come back again on it, and then we'll have a better structure, because right now it's kind of, you know, improvised. And then hopefully it'll be live as well, and then I'll have a person helping out, just, you know, editing everything live. And and then I'll, you know, get everything done, edit, shoot you all the content.
Yeah, let me know.
And man, but thank you for coming on.
Of course, I appreciate it. Thank you.
So episode 18 with all. Actually, I just want to. Oh, and I was almost forgetting about the fucking. Hold on. Wait, let me backtrack. I just wanted to say this because when we first met, I didn't really understand how to pronounce your name.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, you're calling Austin. Yeah, so like,
Austin, right?
It was a nickname I picked up when I was younger, because I grew up with a Brazilian family.
Yeah, okay.
Like babysitting and all that, and I would play soccer, and I adored Ronaldinho and all that.
Okay.
So I kind of got that nickname, and I just went on with it.
Yeah.
My real name's Austin. My dad calls me Austinho though, Austin and stuff like that. Justin sometimes, whatever. But
I always felt that I was fucking it up, but I never like asked, because like I have a extremely weird name, right?
Yeah, so I was struggling with yours as well. That's why I asked earlier.
And then I was calling you Austin, and then it occurred to me later, I don't know how, I guess I just saw your IG tag again, and then I saw like Austin just stood out to me. I'm like, wait, his name is Austin.
Yeah.
It's been Austin this whole time, and I've been here like
plenty of people call me that. So
I apologize.
Either way,
that,
I'll take either way.
But yeah, so the part that I was almost forgetting, which I apologize because my head is kind of so at the end of every episode, basically, again, it goes back to the whole ability to inspire. Like, I believe that everybody that comes on here, they have the power to inspire everybody. As human beings, through your experiences, you can resonate and connect with others and inspire in some shape or form. So what I ask every guest at the end of the podcast is to pretend that they're walking on the world stage right now, and the entire population, Earth population, every single person on the planet has an earpiece plugged in right now, and they can understand and hear everything that you're going to utter into this microphone. So the message right now that you are going to convey to them, it could be a message, it could be follow me on the gram, it can be something random, anything that you want people to hear. You have this opportunity now, and everybody's listening. So staring into that camera, what would you tell planet Earth right now?
I think I would tell planet Earth that you are all greater than you could possibly think you are. You guys have the wings to fly and do whatever you absolutely want. You're the ones who are restricting yourself, so please do anything that you wish you could do in your life so you don't regret it later on. And that's pretty much it, because I just want everybody to reach their maximum potential, because, you know, there's so many things everybody can offer. So please chase your dreams and your goals and whatever you want to pursue in life.
And allow yourself to be great.
Exactly. There you go.
Just allow yourself. All right, now, thank you again for coming on.
Thank you.
I apologize for the name thing, and I apologize for almost forget about the camera thing.
No worries.
Again, it's a learning process.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a learning process.
There you go.
But that was episode 18, available on YouTube. If you're watching this right now, you're watching it on YouTube. Available on iTunes as well. So, shoot over to iTunes. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Much more content coming soon. And yeah, we're out. Peace.